Hey, gang. Happy New Year. I am so glad to see you. I'm so glad to have you back. I'm so glad to be back. I hope you had good holidays, that whatever it was, whether you were home or whether you were with loved ones and family and friends, that you were able to celebrate, appreciate even the small gems that we had last year. I know it was a challenging year. We're on to a new year, some crazy stuff going on. Humanity will be okay. The earth will be okay. So let's start off this new year in helping you to have that great year. Let me just remind you. So I'm Sarah Heiner with Bottom Line and the Health and Happiness Show. Remind you that we actually have a growing library of these videos. So I've got tons of them in Facebook. We've got them so that you can look back at this video after you have. If you want to come back and hear what Joel Harper has to say some more, you can come back and listen here. Tell your friends, share it, because this is going to be some great information. We also will post it probably in about a week on YouTube. We have a growing library of videos on YouTube. Sometimes it's easier to go back and find them there. So Bottom Line Inc., subscribe to that channel. We've got hundreds of videos actually on YouTube. So go ahead and find us there. Let me remind you, so one of the most important things you can do, even though they're talking about masks and hand washing and social distancing, is have your immune system strong, and for you to do everything you can to protect yourself and be strong against sickness. A lot of the doctors don't talk about this stuff, but Bottom Line and our editors will. So we produced a free download. Honest to God, it just breaks my heart how many people are not getting the information on how to help your body do what it knows how to do. So in the chat box, there is going to be a link, and you can download that for free right now, or not now. Do it after this so that you can listen to me and Joel talk. And again, share that with people, because again, our bodies are magical, and we'll talk about the strength of our bodies. We know what to do. You just have to treat it. You just have to help it do what it knows how to do. So download that now. If you have any questions for Joel, type them out into the chat. My friend Lauren is going to be passing them along to me. So you'll see it's not, I sometimes look down, but it's not that I'm, chatting with my kids or my dogs. It's that I'm getting information passed to me about what you guys are saying on Facebook. So come on along. Let me introduce to you now, we're going to talk about New Year's resolutions and how to stick with them. So let me change this. Let me say hello to Joel Harper. I will introduce him to you. He may look familiar to some of you because he's all over the media. So Joel, we've known Joel at Bottom Line for many, many years. He's a celebrity. I read it so that I'm sure I get it all precise. Joel is a celebrity trainer. He's working with everybody from Dr. Oz to actors preparing for new roles, top business executives, and Olympic medalists. He's the creator of all workout chapters and accompanying DVDs in the New York Times bestselling series, The You Books by Dr. Oz and Dr. Roizen. A great series of books, and his workouts are phenomenal, as you'll see. He's also the author of a tremendous book called Mind Your Body, which details Joel's powerful and effective approach to long-term weight loss and how a powerful mindset is the key for an optimally balanced you. It's not just your body. It's not just what goes into your mouth. And we'll talk about this. It's all of you, your mind, body, spirit, and how you deal with your mindset to be able to achieve your goals. As I said, if he looks familiar to you, you've probably seen him, certainly on Dr. Oz's show, but all over the media because it's what he does. And you can learn more about Joel and all of his work at joelharperfitness.com. So Joel, welcome.
Hi, Sarah. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. So you and I want to talk about, everybody is very big on their New Year's resolutions. And I thought, while it's still the first week, it's amazing how many people, I read a stat, I guess about half the people make resolutions. A third of those people within a month have already bailed on their resolutions. And within 6 months, 3/4 of those people have bailed on their resolutions. So the resolutions are important. People want to make changes. They want to have a better year. So we're going to try and stop them in their tracks. That's the goal of today.
Great.
Okay. So why do so many people bail on their resolutions? Why can't they do it? They go, on New Year's Eve, it sounds like a really great idea. I'm going to stop drinking. I'm going to lose 10 pounds. I'm going to get up and run every day. And then they bail. Why are they so bad at it? What's going on?
Well, I think everybody has really, really good intentions, but it's very easy to fall into patterns of things we've done in the years past because we all have comfort zones. And my goal with all my clients is to break that comfort zone. And how do you do that? Well, it all comes with information. And how do you get information? with my clients and with your viewers today and with you, Sarah, I want to use information by asking high mileage questions because each person is unique. So I find when I ask them questions, they come out with answers, and those answers help with transformation. So basically, Sarah, I want to take information and I want to turn that into transformation. And with all that, it takes consistency. So how do you do that? By asking questions.
Yes.
We all have questions and we all have thoughts in our brain all day long. So I want to rework those questions and have people ask themselves the right questions.
So you and I actually, I'm going to put myself on the hot seat in a little bit because you are going to take me through your exercise, what you call your high mileage questions. And I haven't prepared this. And honestly, I haven't set goals for the year. I mean, I've set my business goals and things, but I'm not a resolution maker. So this is going to be an interesting exercise. How I will be your everyman, everybody, going through this exercise. But let's talk about, so the past. So is it a pattern? So people that, I'll call it, if they failed last year, they're going to fail this year, and they're going to fail. Like, is that, I mean, it doesn't mean a guarantee of anything, but is there a pattern in what they're doing and how they're doing it?
Yes, most definitely, because we all have our own mindsets. And my mindset may work in one category in my life and it may work really well, but it may not work through another category in my life. So what I try to do with my clients is teach them what they already know and apply it to the categories that aren't going so well. Because I feel like the more we have a balanced life, then we really achieve our goals and we're not sabotaging, undermining, and draining our willpower.
So people that are, I'm setting people up like, oh no, you're a failure. No, you're not at all. And in fact, even if you bail on your resolutions or you're not successful at it, there are always places in people's lives where they are successful, right?
Exactly. And I want to build on that success because every person, I guarantee you, if I went to 100 people here in New York City and asked them, I guarantee you everybody would be dissatisfied with something that they said last year and they didn't implement. It's just human nature. But what I want to try to do is try to learn from last year's goals and apply that so we don't have the same problem and create the same pattern over and over again.
But the other thing, it's so funny because you say we focus on what we failed at last year. But again, there's a lot of successes that we all have every day, every week, and every month and last year. And yet it's so easy to ignore those and not to realize the places where we really have been successful.
Exactly. And that's where you want to apply that to what you want to transform through information. So I want to gather this information. I want to use that information where the gap is, what I did well. Maybe I did really good last year with my friends. I took extra time. I made, instead of going to the gym, I went out to eat with some friends. I joined the football league. Whatever it is I did, that's a positive. But hey, you know what? I didn't do very well with my finances, or I didn't really do well with my fitness. All of these categories, all 10 of them, meld together. And if they don't meld together, we're going to feel a little empty and it's going to kind of go like this. And my goal is to keep it melded and kind of cut back on something that you may be doing really well and transform it. So we use that information and do well in another category that we have goals in.
So yeah, and in fact, you just reminded me of something I didn't say before. There's a bunch of handouts that are getting images that are being put into the chat. And one of the images in there, we're not going to go through all of them, but they're things that you're going to refer to. And there's some great pieces of information and guidance in those handouts. And one of them is your circle of the 10 areas of life where in Mind Your Body, you have people evaluate those.
Exactly. Exactly. Because let's say, Sarah, that I, in one category is fitness. I went to the gym. I look back over the years. I went to the gym. I did this. I did that. I did that. But my eating was not so good. My nutrition category was a little low. They're working against each other. Do you know what I mean? They're counteracting each other. So I want all these to work together. So it may mean you got to cut back on something good so that you can eat something bad. So if, let's say from 0 to 10, I work with a number scale with all my clients and I ingrain that in their brain, the number scale, because then they can apply it to their own life. Because I'm only with them, let's say an hour a day, there's 23 other hours. So I ask them questions I'm going to do with you. Let's just do this real quick. Sarah, 1 to 10, 10 being excellent, 0 being not so good. How well did you sleep last night?
5.5.
So all of your viewers, I want them to answer that right now.
Mhm.
So then it creates a pattern, and then it creates accountability. Once we create accountability, we have new information, then we can work on transformation. Because a lot of time when you give it a number, then you see a pattern. So if you do this every morning, how I wake up, I'm not feeling energized, it's a 4. The next day is a 6. The next day is a 3. So you kind of average that out over the past week, and it's
Mhm.
a 5. Well, that's something we need to work on. So
Right.
that's information. How do we change that? 1, go to bed earlier. 2, get better blinds in the room. 3, don't talk to friends. So I would ask you questions, and I want the viewers to ask them questions. How can I get a better night's sleep? What are 2 things I can do to improve my sleep? And just daydream for a sec.
Yep.
Don't come up with the quickest answers. What is it? And try to shift so you do that. And it could be little things here and there. And that's those little changes make big results.
Well, and also the key part of what you're suggesting is that the ideas and the suggestions are coming from within versus from you. So it's not
Exactly.
you telling them to go to bed early or to turn off the screens early. It's they have to make that commitment.
Because we're all extremely unique. And that's what I want everybody to realize is that we read magazines and you see articles that have conflicting information about diet, about every single category. If the New York Times, I'd pull these out, they said something that conflicted. Milk's good for you, milk's bad for you. Drink
Oh,
this much,
right,
that's too much water.
right.
So it all conflicts and it's very confusing to the viewer. So my, conclusion is you need to figure that out for yourself and what works best for your body type.
Yeah. And that's, to that point, and I've talked about it in other podcasts or other Facebook Lives where there's food that's very healthy for a lot of people. But for me, it doesn't react well in my body. So paying attention to what works well for your body, or some people need 12 hours of sleep and some people need 8 hours of sleep. I certainly need more than the 5.5 that I end up getting half the time. Um, this is a little complicated, right? So there's a piece of overwhelm that I'm going to express for people that are out there because they just wanted to lose their 10 pounds or they just wanted to quit smoking. And suddenly you're talking about 10 areas of life. Holy goodness, I just wanted to lose my 10 pounds. Why are you talking about all this? So help explain and understand that sometimes like setting those resolutions or understanding your goals for the year, it is about the whole body and that it's not, you can't, can you just pick one? Isn't it okay to have one goal for the year?
It's great. But let's go back to your one goal of losing 10 pounds. Okay, great. What was your goal last year? That's what I'd ask you. So, Sarah, let's say you want to use 10 pounds this year, can you just refresh my memory what you said last year?
Well, I didn't need to lose 10 pounds last year, but I'll say I needed to lose a few pounds. And my goal was to lose 5 pounds last year.
Okay, how well did you do with that goal?
Um,
Or you?
I lost 1 pound. I didn't lose 5 pounds, but I was exercising every day and I was eating 80% good.
Okay. What item, what little thing in your life could you have changed, do you think was stopping you from achieving your ultimate goal of those pounds that you want to get off?
Snacking while I'm sitting at my desk, salty
Okay,
snacks.
gotcha. Why do you do that?
Because I think I deserve it because I'm working hard and because I'm, like my brain is using glucose during this. And when I get off, I'm going to be hungry and I'm going to have a carb craving. And I'm going to go, I worked so hard and I just really, my body's telling me I need that.
Can you give me an example of what some of the snacks? Are they healthy snacks or would they be in the healthy-ish category, tasty, or they would be in the unhealthy?
My snacks are in the unhealthy. My meals are very healthy. And because my meals are so healthy, I rationalize to myself that it's okay to have an unhealthy snack. They're
Okay.
salty, greasy snacks.
Okay, Sarah, would you go to a hotel and sleep on dirty sheets?
No,
No. So what you just said to me is you would go to a nice hotel, but sleep on dirty sheets.
that's
So
interesting.
that's a different category. So to me, listening to that,
Right.
you have with your nutrition, you eat really healthy, but then you slip something in, like sleeping on dirty sheets in a hotel, into a nice hotel. So
So
I'm
how is
trying.
that? So help me understand. So my dirty snacks, because I eat so healthy. So those are my clean sheets. And then I just threw all those clean sheets away with sticking my feet on the pillow because I ate my salty snacks.
Exactly. And you slept on dirty that somebody in the night before the maid hadn't cleaned them. So you slept on somebody else's dirty sheets.
Ew.
But see, so
Right.
somebody else would hear what you just said and be like,
Right.
ooh, Why would I eat healthy and eat all this good stuff and then
Right.
throw it with something unhealthy? Or
Right.
I would rather you crowd out. Crowding out to me means put something really healthy in its place so then you don't crave that. So, what sort of things could you have so that you did not crave those salty, unhealthy snacks, aka sleeping in on dirty sheets?
I could find a healthier snack. I could simply not snack because it's not necessarily hunger. It's a brain game that actually is doing it, I think, half the time. I'm eating substantial meals.
Because, as you said before, you deserve to.
I do.
So, back to the 10 categories, there's another category I guarantee you that you're compensating for those unhealthy snacks. So, there's something you're deficient in. And once we would come up with that deficiency, then you would think, like, oh, I don't really, I deserve to eat something healthy because I want to feel better, not sleep on dirty sheets.
So somewhere in the fact that I'm self-medicating, does everybody like this little exercise of killing myself? That's that the self-medicating or the self-placating, making myself feel better in one place is really that somewhere else I'm needing some love. Some love. Is that
Exactly. There's some other category that you're unfulfilled in. That's why you think you deserve it. Because let's say, Sarah, what I heard you say is, I work really hard and I deserve it. Well, you work really hard. That's fantastic. But you work really hard because you love your job. You help,
Mhm.
like helping other people out. These are all positive things. The glass is 9/10 full. So you're doing all these positive things and then you sabotage it, your goals of not achieving the pounds that you set up for yourself. Your husband didn't say it, your agent didn't say it, your nobody said it to you. You said
Right.
it to yourself. So you want to achieve something because you deserve it, but then there's something underlying that thinks you do not deserve. So asking you questions, we would figure out why you did not deserve it. So that's why all the categories come into play because they all work together because we're a whole being. Do you know what I mean?
So no matter the category, if my goal was quit smoking, if my goal was have a better marriage, better relationship with my kids, whatever, that there's if we break those goals, there's something underneath that's pulling us back. And is that
Exactly.
so? Everybody has their excuses, right? So I just made a bunch of excuses. And this is an excuse. I deserve it. I was, I craved it. I worked hard on the thing. My brain used glucose. Um, Talk about excuses versus this deep out of balance. I'm calling it out of balance, right? Because there's a different need.
They go hand in hand. And this excuses sometimes are just patterns that we've created. They're thoughts that we've had for years and we just keep it going. And that's why I work with my clients and I come up with your beliefs. So you come up, what do you believe? Time zips by. People are tricky. The more I work out, the better I feel. We all have these underlying beliefs that manifest to our deserve level.
Mhm.
So it sounds a little heady, but it's actually very simple. If somebody, all your viewers at home, I want you to, over the next week, to just write down thoughts you think you believe. I believe I deserve to have a great group of friends. I believe that people are not very giving. I believe that people are very giving. I believe that people are selfish. So once you bring those to the forefront, they kind of outplay in all your 10 categories. So it
Mhm.
just figures out who you are as a person. So then when we go back to those 5 pounds and we figure out, what are the two things, the snacking, what else is it? I don't get enough sleep. Well, maybe if I got another hour's sleep and didn't watch Homeland or, Creek or one
Whatever.
of those, if I cut out, I slept better, then I'd have more willpower. And then with that willpower, I wouldn't think I deserve to undermine my goals.
So is it willpower? And you have a slide in there about the importance of willpower, which I think of willpower as mind over matter, that like I'm forcing myself versus you and I had talked about when you set a goal and you have a deep goal, like a life shift thing, then I don't need willpower. If I honestly see, like you just painted a great picture. I'm sleeping on dirty sheets. I'm sticking dirty sheets in my mouth. I'll never do that again. Ew, that's disgusting. Um, so somewhere in the midst of like deserving people understanding that they deserve that change, that um, having a resolution that's not a bet on New Year's Eve of I bet I can stop eating pizza, right? That it's a deep shift of no, that really doesn't feel good, and I don't do that versus this, and then this like deserving thing. You understand the triangle I'm trying to make?
Exactly. But Sarah, I really want to clarify what is deserve level, which is
Mhm.
one of the slides, just so
Right.
everybody's on the same page. Because like your willpower definition is great for you, but I want everybody else is going to think of willpower as some people could say energy level,
Right.
stamina, endurance.
Mhm.
That's everybody's going to have a different definition. So
Mm.
deserve level, I think it's really important to understand what I mean by deserve level. And for me, a deserve level is a rating of self-worth, self-respect, and self-esteem for a given category in your life. It's the blessing or permission you give yourself based on what you believe you deserve in your life. So with that in mind, my parents always had a lot of friends.
Mhm.
Found that category very important. They're very, very social. So they put in the circle of life in the 10 categories, they put a high deserve level. So they passed that down to me, which became natural. But I would never see my parents home reading a book. Whereas somebody else could be, their parent could be like, yeah, we need to go to the library. The more you educate yourself, the smarter you are, the further you can get in life. So some of these stuff are ingrained. Some of them work. Some people will be like, well, I don't want a lot of friends. Your friends are annoying. So I could have changed it. Or like, I don't want to read. I would rather go play football.
Mhm.
So these things create patterns on our deserve level. So we all have these deserve level self-worth in these categories. Does that make sense?
It does, but I think some people also hold themselves back. They've got their excuses of, do I really deserve that? Like for whatever reason, I want it. Like I want to have friends, but I'm not lovable. Or I want like there again, where does the self-sabotage go in there? It's like, do they
With
not, right?
those
Huh?
with those beliefs. So that's why if you wrote down what your beliefs are in each category, it
Mhm.
would come right to your forefront. I am not lovable. So I would change all your beliefs to I am lovable. People love to be around me. So let's say I went to events and I met a bunch of people and they didn't seem to click with me. I could be like, oh, it's me. Or I could be like, oh, that was not the right event. They're just interested in different stuff.
Right.
They may like, astrology, and I kind of like astrology, but I've not really studied that much. So I didn't have anything to talk to them about. I need to rather go to something that's in my category, whether it's ballroom dancing, if I'm looking for friends. So I need to pick something we have similar interest. So then we have that passion, which passion increases my deserve level and makes me feel better. And then I have more energy. So it's basically where the willpower comes in. So I keep doing it. Back to your goals of losing those pounds, those beliefs. Your belief is like, well, I set goals and I don't always accomplish them. Instead of saying I'd change those beliefs that I'm getting everybody to write down, to changing them to what they would have rather said. I always accomplish my goals. Once I set my mind, I achieve it. Then another thought will come up and say, yep, but I didn't achieve it because I never went to ballroom dancing classes. Then I'd be like, I'd ask them a question. Okay, what category do you achieve it in? They could say like, oh, my finances, my checkbook's balanced, I'm making a great amount of money. And I'm like, okay, you do it in that category. It's the same trait, just apply it to this one. What happens? Well, I go home, I get my statements, I fill them out, I make sure they're all correct. I'm like, oh, how long did that take you? 30 minutes. That took you 30 minutes? Oh, great. Why don't you go online and look for some sort of classes, whether it be a tennis camp, something in the category you want to improve. Those were 30 minutes. Use your 30 minutes, in that category and do it in here. So I'm spreading what you already know to another category. It makes a huge amount of difference because living in New York City, I encounter people who are very, very good at certain categories, but there's one or two categories they're horrible at. They have no friends, but they're head of a company.
Right.
They have an okay job. They can't stand it. They're not educated enough, but they play tennis. They have an aquarium. They're big into fish. They go to scuba diving all over, but they can't pay their bills. So I'd say, look, we need to evaluate your trips, cut those back a little bit so you do less trips and you can have more security and then you can pay your bills on time. And they're like, that makes sense. You know what I mean? So it's all about balance because the more balanced we are, the better we feel and the more we accomplish our goals in whatever category, which is helping you to lose those weights.
So this whole concept of the balance and all the different areas is working together. Most people don't think in those ways, especially when they're doing their New Year's resolutions. So are they going either to the comfort zone, right? So this one's going to be easy because it's easy for me, it's my comfort zone. If I'm going to go make more friends this year, I'm going to go out once a week, right? And, hopefully in New York, you can actually start to go out once a week, but whatever it is, you're going to reach out to more people because I'm more comfortable with that. Or do they force themselves out of to make goals where they know they're short, but it's not their comfort zone? So I can say all day long that I'm going to go, call somebody on the phone once a day. I'm on the phone all day long. Last thing I want to do at night is talk to people. So that are some people is it? They're setting themselves up. When the key is you got to set the right goal in some ways to be able to follow through on it. Either it's a place where you really love and you're really motivated to be there, or you're kind of doing it out of your head because it's a weak spot, but you're forcing yourself, but it's not some place that you're deeply understanding.
No. Okay. So then what happens? I'm really glad you brought this up. We do not want to force it. We want to shift. So what you just said, you talk to people all day long. Let's say Mary called you 2 weeks ago. You love Mary, but you really don't feel like talking to her because you've been talking to people all day long. You got to talk to your husband. You got to do this. And the next thing you know, it's time to go to bed. And Mary called you 2 weeks ago.
Right.
So I would be, Sarah, what in your life can you take out so you're not talking to people all day long? Is there an area that we can shift that? Because it sounds to me you're talking to people, you're doing a great job at your job, but that would be a 10. But your friendships would be a little lower because you're talking about, you don't want to talk to your friends, and they probably pick it up on the phone that you want to get off. You answered a question. They didn't respond. You didn't listen. So you're out of sync. So I'd say, what day of the week, Sarah, is there a 2-hour break you could take out where you're not talking to anybody?
Right. Yeah. So there's always a way to find, again, overcoming the excuses. There's always a place where you can shift and find a way to go toward that goal.
And that's why asking yourself a question. So I would get you and your viewers to ask the question out loud, not in your head, out loud to yourself. Do you know what I mean? I know it's a little nutty, but it's very important to say it out loud. So let's say what you just said about your friends, you don't feel like talking to them in the evening. Say it out loud. I don't really feel like talking to my friends because I'm talked out all day long. Okay.
Or I don't feel like talking to my friends because I know that I'm going to talk to them for an hour and a half and I have 20 minutes to talk to them.
Exactly.
Right.
So if it is important for you to change your friendship category, if it's important to you, what would you like at your funeral that nobody came? Do you know what I mean? If not very many people, if none of your friends were I called Sarah 5 years ago. I don't really care if you're going to. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
It's she wasn't that good a friend. She did when I talked to her, so play out what would happen if you kept the same pattern. What would happen if, hey, I didn't lose those 5 pounds. 5 pounds turned to 8 pounds. 8 pounds turned into 10 pounds. My clothes don't fit now. I don't really feel good about myself. So those dance classes, which are in another hobby category, I don't want to go dancing because I'm so fat. I don't want to wear these clothes to the dance thing. I'm just going to stay at home. So see how it spreads in a bad way, or it can spread in a good way, because they all work together of losing those 5 pounds today, get it over with, stop eating those salty snacks, sabotaging, sleeping on dirty sheets. But see,
I thought my life was pretty good till I started talking to you.
But once I start planting seeds in your brain like dirty sheets,
right,
and those snacks on your bed look like you're going to eat bed bugs.
Yes, it's true.
Right. So then having good stuff, it starts to clean up other things, and it makes a huge difference because we all have something we want to accomplish, and you really see results by asking yourself high mileage questions.
Now, how important is it, I'll call it, just to make little steps? Just the fact, so, a lot of people have their exercise goals. And I always find I get up and I exercise. That's the rule. If I wait till later in the day, I got 9,000 reasons why not. So that to just make the little progress and then to give yourself credit for it. I did get up today. I didn't have an hour to do it, but I did have 40 minutes to do it. So I did the 40 minutes, or I had 15 minutes, or I did, and you're going to show a few, you've got 5 and 15-minute workouts. So, super high effectiveness workouts. So, but to make those, that to reward yourself and give yourself credit for the progress that you do make, rather than, oh, I didn't hit 100%, so I'm a loser.
Exactly, which is very important because once we take this information by asking high mileage questions, we work on transformation. What is transformation? Transformation is setting up little goals. I'm not going to build a company overnight. I'm going to have to work day in, day in, day out, whether it is. If I want to have friends, I can't just do something with them once. I need to consistently call them. I need to ask how their trip was. Did they like that dress they went to buy? How did it work out with the discussion with their boyfriend? It's all these little things. You create a good friendship, create you to lose weight, create you to balance your checkbook, create you to go on vacations, playing tennis lessons. Let's say I want to be a better tennis player. I got to take lessons. I got to get better. I'm not going to take 2 lessons and be a better tennis player. I can't go to Berlitz and take 2 Spanish courses and be like, hey, Sarah, I'm fluent in Spanish now. Every single thing takes little consistency and rewarding yourself with something positive. I did great. I'm going to treat myself with a dance class. And you want to reward yourself, get the habit with rewarding yourself with something positive, a massage, something healthy, something, like something you want to buy that is healthy. So it keeps you rolling, not whether it's a Krispy Kreme donut or something unhealthy. You want to think of rewarding yourself with something that leads you in the same direction. Otherwise, it creates this snack thing and it kind of undermines you. And then your willpower drains when you have less energy.
Well, and how about also just simply acknowledgement that, hey, you did it. Good job.
Exactly.
I got up today. I mean, if I stroke counted on the calendar, just, hey, I did it. Woohoo.
Perfect. I did that with envelopes. I love recycling paper, just like I did for this note here. Do you know what I mean? This is on a recycled envelope. Do you know what I mean? What I put on here is every day I have like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I have something I want to accomplish. So for me, somebody gave me one of those heated blankets it's like an infrared sauna blanket, and you're supposed to lie in it for 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. And it's not, I love it, but I wouldn't really do it. So right. I have paper. I'm going to give myself 30 minutes to lie in this heated blanket in the winter and meditate for 30 minutes every single day for 30 days. So I have a little thing and I check off it. A couple of days I got really busy and I was too tired to do it and I didn't want to set it up, so I didn't do it. That's okay. Do you know what I mean? But I'm not going to reward myself with eating, a donut because I didn't do it. Right. But at the end, it's very rewarding to see the check marks. Do you know what I mean? And I give myself prayer because some days I just don't have 30 minutes to sit there, set the blanket up, plug it in, make it sure it's hot, and get in there and meditate.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to ask you.
I do not know one person who is perfect. I do, and you may, but I've never met one person who, even I have huge executives, they can't do the alphabet backwards. Yeah. You know what I mean? They make billions of dollars, but they'll be like ZRPQ, whereas somebody else can zip through the alphabet. We're all different. So that's why we need to figure out what works for you specifically by asking questions to you. I can't tell you anything. I'm not giving you any information now. I'm just asking you questions so we figure out what it is you want to do.
Well, and I think that's really important in terms of cutting slack. I was going to ask you about that. I mean, my running joke, because my kids, of course, give me all the feedback in the world on all my imperfections. And to the point of there's no perfect human, I always say it a different way, that having imperfections makes me a perfect human. Like because there is no perfect, right? So that I'm going to burn the steak sometimes, or I'm going to whatever it is that I'm going to look like a goofball. My hair is going to be bad, whatever it is. That makes me very human, and that's okay. So I think that we set ourselves up for these impossible. It's like the social media where you think that you have to have the Facebook perfect life. No, nobody has that Facebook perfect life. And then to your point about missing your goals, like, so when people start to fall off their goals, is it like giving themselves permission? Just because I didn't run today doesn't mean I've fallen off my wagon. Like, just what's the self-talk for, it's okay, I didn't do it today, but don't give up?
There is no self-talk, Sarah. Sometimes we have, let's say we got a whole bag of peaches. Mm-hmm. We put the peaches in there and a couple of them got bruised. you're kind of like, oh, that's a little disappointing. I actually bruised them, but it's just a bruised peach. You can cut it off and eat the rest of the peach,
Right.
correct?
Yeah.
The life is like that as well too.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Life is like that well too. Nothing's perfect. So just like, I wouldn't even think about it. There's no self-talk, just let it go. It's like trash in your trash can. Throw it down the trash can, put it in the thing. We don't analyze it.
Right.
Because why? We threw it away in the first place. We made a mistake. I don't have 30 minutes every day to do the bed that I have good intentions to do today and to meditate 30 days. But some days other things were more important, and that's okay. But let's say 3 weeks went by and I never did the 30 minutes. That would be a different question. I'd be like, why is that not important to me? Why am I not allowing myself those 30 minutes?
Right.
Do you know what I mean? What 2 things could I do differently? So that's what I'd ask myself. What 2 things that I could do differently? Well, 1, I could get up earlier. 2, I could say that I'm not taking more than 10 appointments a day. I could say, I need to cut back. Otherwise, I'm tending in one category, 10, the number 10. Right. I'm doing an excellent job, and I'm doing not so good. So I'm going to still be unbalanced. I'm staying in my same comfort zone.
Right. Is it okay to reevaluate your goals? Maybe you realize that wasn't realistic and I need to attack it in a different way or adjust it? Or is that also then an excuse and I'm, kind of copying out?
Well, it could go 2 ways. You don't want to adjust it to lower your standards. You want to ask yourself, am I lowering my standards, my deserve level, or am I adjusting for another category that once I got the ball rolling, felt a little better? You know what? I was reading a book, the political situation going on stimulated me to read this book. And I really want to know this. So when I'm out and about, I want to be educated and know really what's going on. So that's why I'd rather spend the 30 minutes doing that, or I'd rather do the 30 minutes, not, wasting time. So you need to ask yourself those high mileage questions to figure out, am I lowering my standards, or did another category seem more important that's taking those 30 minutes out?
Gotcha. All right, so let's talk about exercise because I wanted you to show a few exercises. You talk about that there's 7 components to a successful workout.
Yes, I want to talk about that now. Every workout, whether it's 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 30 minutes, should always have, you want to warm up, you want to get the muscles warm, you want to work on strength, you want to work on flexibility, you want to work on balance in your body from one side to the other, which I'll show you, but also physical balance, which you can do right now. Your viewers could stand on their toes while they're watching this. They could lift one foot off the ground while they're talking on the phone. They can only brush their teeth if their eyes are closed. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So these little things you just start to incorporate in your life. So you want to warm up, you want to strength, you want to work on flexibility, you want to work on balance, you want to work on coordination, because the older we get, the more likely we are to lose our coordination and our balance. We want to work on our breathing so we're not holding our breath, and we want to work on heart strength, our cardio.
Right.
And it seems like a lot, but what I do, and which I can show you, are exercises that you can do. You do multiple things simultaneously. And with all my clients, you exercise, stretch. So you don't wait to the end. Most people exercise and then stretch. That's a complete waste of time. Do an exercise, do a stretch, because you want to create lean muscles. You want them to be strong, but you also don't want them to be tight. So when you work out, you strengthen the muscles, you tighten them, they get stronger. You eat nutritiously. Those nutrients go into the muscles, they repair them, and they get stronger. And that's why you want to flex them back and open them back up. So we have long, lean muscles. At the end of every workout, Sarah, you should leave it feeling energized and tension-free. If you're not doing that, if you're not feeling those 2 things, energized and tension-free, then you're doing something slightly wrong.
Okay. And the other thing that I like in your exercise, you talked about doing the alphabet backwards. Like you often will make someone do a cranial thing all at the same time.
Simultaneously, yes. I get them to do it out loud because it makes them breathe properly, because it forces you to do other things naturally. So with all my clients, they hold their breath. So while they're doing abs, I'm like, okay, every time you crunch up, you have to give me a girl's name that starts with the letter S. So they'll be like Sarah, Sabrina, Serena, Stacy. Do you know what I mean? So it's stimulating, and they can do more. Otherwise, they're not thinking, oh, this burns. they're moving through the burn and not sabotaging, reverting back to their old comfort zone.
Yep. Love it. All right, let's show me a couple exercises.
Okay, great. So this first one I get everybody to do, and it's a really good one. You come down to all fours, which I'll show you here. I'm going to adjust a little bit. You come down to all fours. So you're on all fours like this.
Mm-hmm.
All fours. So my hands are under my shoulders. My elbows are soft. Whenever you're working out, Sarah, never straighten anything. My knees and my elbows should always be soft. A workout is to work your muscles and not your joints. So I'm on all fours. I curl my toes under. They're 1 inch off the ground, and I bounce 1 inch up and down like this. And it's a great exercise for anybody. I go up and down, Z, Y, X, W, all the way to A. Then once I do that, I want to do a good stretch. So I sit back down on my shins, and it stretches my legs out. I bring my elbows together, and I gently drop my chin. I'm stretching my legs out, and I'm stretching my neck out, which everybody always wants to have an open neck, because people get headaches, tension in their neck because their shoulders are too tight. So what I get everybody to do during the workout is exercise stretch. So then once they do that, another one is you lift your knees off the ground and you sway them side to side like that. Do you know what I mean?
And is that working a different muscle group?
Yep, it works it from a different angle, and then you can come down to your elbows, so it works another part of your shoulders. So then you sway side to side like that, and you're going to feel it on the sides there and then in your stomach. So that's one. And for that one, you can do 100 minus 3, 97, 94, 91, 88. So it trains your brain. I got to keep doing it until I get to the number 1. Let's say you had to stop. No worries. Stop, take a 5-second break and do it again. But over time, you'll realize that, oh, now I can get to the number 1. I can get to the letter A.
Right.
So for you, that's okay. Just consistency, as we said before, you want to keep doing it time and time again. And I want everybody to get in the habit of stretching and really breathing through the stretch. So right now, a lot of people, you see them, their feet are crooked. You want to make sure when you stretch, your feet are always straight up in the air. My toe is not bent. It's straight up in the air like that whenever I reach. And all stretches should feel good. Whenever you stretch a muscle out, it should feel really good. You should relax into it. You don't want to force it. When you force it afterwards, it feels good, but then it'll want to go back to where it was before. I want to relax into my stretch and really breathe into it.
So do you, like, I've stretched and then I'll breathe and then kind of sink a little bit more, then breathe and sink a little bit more.
You just want to think melt. You want to melt like butter. You want to relax into it. And whenever you're in a stretch, Sarah, I want you to act like the tightest area. So let's say I'm doing this stretch. I'm just reaching towards my flat feet. I'm going forwards and I start to feel in my hamstrings. I want to lean forward to where it feels good. And then I want to relax into it, melt. And then I want to act like the tightest area is a balloon and I want to breathe into it. So I breathe, I want to increase the circulation. So right now I'm breathing into my rib cage, but I'm visualizing myself breathing into my hamstrings because that's the tightest area. And then it takes it to the next level and then you relax into it, whether it's your neck, your rib cage.
Yeah, it's really amazing the subtlety of when you imagine like breathing into an area that it really does.
It really, it relaxes it open, and everybody's body is different.
Right.
And what I besides, Sarah, is balance. So let's say I did a stretch like this. Whenever you do a one-legged stretch, Sarah, so my leg is out. Can you see me fine?
Yep.
Great. So one leg is in half butterfly and one. Let's say this was hard for me. I would start with my leg out here and then over time bring it back. Whenever I'm doing a one-legged stretch, I'm always reaching the opposite hand. This is bad for my back. This is good for my back. It creates alignment. So let's say I do this stretch back to the number scale. I feel this is 6 and I can touch my toe. Let's say I went to this side and I couldn't reach the toe and it was an 8 already. So that's a huge difference, and that is a problem. So if I have one side different than the other one, I want to create balance, whether I'm balancing on a foot, but I also want to create balance with my body from one side to the other. They should always be equal and they're different every day. So if I slept all night last night like this, it's going to cause this side to get tighter and this side to get looser. If I do that every night, I'm going to get a little bit of tension. So if I do simple stretches every day, it'll open that up so that if I sleep on site, I won't get a neck crick. I won't get a hip issue. Those hip issues are talking to you, Sarah, and they're saying, hey, something's going on now. You need to fix it. Well, you can either stretch and open up and fix it, or you can do nothing about it, and it can get worse, and it'll move to other parts of your body. Our body is talking to us all day long, and we just listen to it. The more we listen to it, the more we are in tune with it, the more we feel better, and we don't have issues.
So even if somebody doesn't exercise, stretch every day anyway?
Yes, exactly. Just do simple stretches. You want to get the blood. This is a great stretch right here. So let's say this stretch, I was not as loose on this side. I want to shake my legs out, let the blood flowing back and stretch. Then I want to go back to the tighter side again. So if one side is a 6 and the other side is an 8, if I do the 6 and move it to a 5, and I take the 8 and move it to a 7, I still have the same imbalance. I need to not stretch the 6 again, and I to go back and stretch the 8 again, move it to a 7 with a 6 to a, so they're equal. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time. But with time, my clients start out like this, and then they get equal, and then they're more balanced. But it's the same balance we talk in all of our 10 categories. It all works together. It's really quite simple once you understand the concept. And if I walk around with this hamstring tighter, then if I go to a hotel and wake up one night and pick up a bag, I'm not going to throw my back out because I'm not coming from imbalanced muscles. I'm coming from more simple alignment. And so, Sarah, all this is preventative. So I feel better. If somebody has a back issue, every time they come to me, I open their hips up and their back goes away. If you have a tight back, it means you have tight hips. If you have a tight neck and you get headaches, it usually means 95% of the time you have tight shoulders. I open the shoulders up, the neck frees up. You open your hips up, your back frees up with really simple stretches. And I'll show you a quick one for your viewers. So you want to sit in a chair, and everybody at home can try this with me. So I sit in a simple chair. I bring my leg all the way up on top, so my ankle is on top and my knee is here, and then I gently lean forwards like this. This foot is right under my knee, and I lean forward. My knee is here. Let's say I did the other side, and it was a little higher. I really got to work on getting them equal. So those are simple little stretches that I teach all my clients so they're equal on both sides. And once you create that equalness, it really creates balance in your head so you feel a little more centered. A lot of clients come to me and they feel really uncentered and ungrounded mentally. I line their body back up, and then they're more grounded and centered on both legs equal. And then miraculously, they're like, oh, I feel so much more grounded and centered and not so invisible. I feel like my presence improved. Yeah. So that's another category just because we're balancing out our body.
Well, and even the tightness also, I find that the tighter I am, the harder everything becomes. I can't think as well. I don't feel as good. I don't move it, like all of it, just the tightness. It just pinches everything through my body. The neurological system is pinched. All of it just doesn't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, Sarah, when people come to me with tight bodies, to me, it's like people coming to the dentist, leaving food in their teeth. So to all your viewers, I'm like, do you floss? And everybody's like, yeah, I floss. If there's food that I floss, I'm like, well, that's the same concept. When you leave tight muscles, Sarah, you're leaving food in your teeth. You're going to eat, you're not brushing your teeth, and you're not flossing your teeth. So once I plant that visual, then they're like, oh, why would I not stretch? You know what I mean? Because your body is talking to you. When you know there's food in your teeth, you go and you're like, oh, wow, food came out. Sometimes you don't know that you go floss and there's food in your teeth and you didn't know it. The same with your body. Sometimes you do a simple stretch and you're like, wow, I didn't really know I was that tight. And what I get to do, Sarah, with everybody is I get them to get blood flowing into their head. A lot of people throughout their life never let blood flow into their head. They're either standing up, they're either seated, or they're lying parallel. Their head is never below their heart. It's very important for anybody's health. If they don't have much time to do anything, you always want to walk your hands down your legs and gently let the blood flowing. If this is too much for you, just leave your hands on your leg as brackets and gently drop your head. It's very important to get the blood flowing to your head. And a lot of people, I get them to do it if they're in the afternoon, if they're getting low energy, it means because their head is above their heart and it's having to pump up this way. If you just shift your energy, hang down for a little bit, you flush the blood in there and you come back up, it re-energizes you.
Right. And again, then strengthens you to be able to have the willpower to exercise, to watch your diet, to hit any of your goals. Real quick,
Exactly.
just as long as we're talking about, what's your favorite shoulder stretcher? Since we're all
The best one for everybody, and I want
right.
everybody and you as well, Sarah, to bring your pinkies together in front of your face like this. Perfect. Now put your hands on top of your head like this. There you go. Not that far back, right where at the top of your head. Yep. Now put your elbows together. There you go. Now gently use the weight of your arms. Do not pull down. Get your elbows flush. Glue your elbows together if you can. Now gently drop your chin. Do not pull. The weight of your arms is plenty. Now from 0 to 10, what number do you feel that in your shoulders and your neck?
I feel it a 5 in my neck, and I don't feel it that tight in my shoulders, oddly.
Okay, great. So with time, that's going to open up your shoulders. Right. Once you get deeper and deeper, it's going to go into your shoulders because your neck is so tight, it's not allowing you to get to your shoulders. But that, Sarah, should be a 0. So every day, Sarah, from now on, for the next 30 days, I want you to put your hands on top of your head when you take a shower and have the hot water hit you for 30 seconds in that area, and it will miraculously open it up. Because, Sarah, that is not a stretch. That should be a 0 all the time. If you're feeling it a 5, a 3, a 4, 6, it's not supposed to be there. That is food in your teeth. And so you want to get rid of that. You want to floss. And that's a simple way to get rid of it. Another way is just to interweave your hands behind your tailbone and drive your knuckles away from your tailbone. Or while you're at your desk, cross your hand over like this, put it on the opposite shoulder. Try with me. Take your right hand across, put it, plant it on your shoulder. Now drive that elbow across and walk your hand down. Yep. Ideally, you shouldn't feel this. So if you do, it means you need it. Then try the other side. You want to make sure they're equal.
Oh, yeah.
And those are simple things that you can do while you're on your conference call. And they take seconds. Yeah. Hold them. And you want to hold them while you're there and breathe into it like you're breathing into a balloon.
And again, I mean, the difference that it makes, even just doing that, and I'm a tight ball, that the difference that it makes to open me up to feel better, to be receiving and available for the energy of the goals and whatever I promised, and the friendships and the phone calls, like all of that, I'm more available when I'm not as tight.
Exactly. Yeah. Do we have a couple more minutes, Sarah?
It's okay by you. Yep.
Yeah, sure. So let's say we were talking about the fitness category. I want everybody to grab a piece of paper at home and a piece of paper and a pen and answer these 10 questions that I'm going to answer from 1 to 10. 10 means I did an excellent job over the past year. 0 means I did not do a very good job. So this is, we're going to do the fitness category. So that's the one we're talking about. But I have 10 questions for every 10 category, but we're just going to do the fitness ones now. So number 1, how strong is your desire to improve your body? 0, not very strong. 10, very strong. Give it a number. Number 2, how good do you feel about the quality and variety of your workouts? 0, not very good. 10, you feel great about it. 3, how confident are you that you can avoid injury in your workouts? 4, how strongly do you feel that fitness improves your overall health or feeling of well-being? 5, how important is strength training to you? 6, how easy is it for you to balance on one foot?
Eyes open or eyes closed?
Eyes closed.
That makes it much harder.
Yes. How important is stretching to you? 0, not very important. 10, stretching is very important. 8, how important is cardiovascular exercise, workouts that get your heart pumping to you? 9, how successful are you at consistently working out each month, including the past month? 10, when you exercise, how hard do you work, motivate, and push yourself? So now you have 10 numbers in front of you. Add those numbers up very quickly, Sarah. Add them up.
I wasn't writing. I couldn't write them fast enough. But I think what I'm thinking about is I'm going to make sure these are transcribed and into the chat box so that anyone that's been listening can come on back and see them. so that they can do the exercise. Yeah.
Great. So then you answer those 10 questions, you add up those
Right.
numbers, you divide by 10, and you get your average for your fitness category. So then you do that in your categories and you see which ones. Is that number, can't say I came up with a number 7. Number 7 may be great. That's where I want to be in my fitness category, but my hobbies were a 2. So I want to spend more time on hobbies, and it just brings awareness, which is information, which creates accountability, which creates transformation.
Yeah. Well, and the other piece within this, again, there's, what's the quality of my workouts versus what's my strength? There's such disparity, and especially people that are working out on their own, it's hard to be able to get that balance. So I think this is also important to see getting the roundedness of their workouts.
Exactly. But then you can get those all in, no equipment, at-home workouts. And that's what I specialize, is doing workouts that you cannot, and we can put one on your website for people to do to test themselves. So Sarah, that they're doing a workout that is good for their specific body and they don't need any equipment. They can do it at their level and at their convenience in their pajamas.
Which is the beauty. And there's a bunch of them that are on YouTube.
Yes, exactly. Just put in Joel Harper.
Yep, there's a ton of them, which is great because there's 5 minutes, there's 10 minutes, there's such a variety, some for abs, some for whatever's.
Exactly. So, all no equipment.
Awesome. Joel, you're fabulous.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you so very much. So everybody, joelharperfitness.com, go to his YouTube channel and stick with those goals. Keep the perspective on it. It's
exactly. If anybody has any questions, because we gave a lot of information to Sarah, any questions at all, feel free to email us.
Great. Joel, thank you so much. Okay, everybody, don't forget, and we're going to get those questions into the chat box so we can put it on it. And don't forget, next Thursday, we're going to be talking about addiction. Believe it or not, all of us are or have the capacity to be addicts. So feel great. Good luck with those resolutions. Thanks, Joel.
Thanks, Sarah. Have a great night.
You too.